Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Ashley. I am a lover of all things makeup, beauty, hair, skin, nails, all that stuff. Today I wanted to try out some new drugstore products because there have been so many new releases and yeah, I'm super excited about them. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I don't know what it is, but I think 2025 is the year of primers. I literally have 3 new primers from the drugstore. I have used these before, but they are very, very new. My favorite, I have to say, is the Wet n Wild Prime Focus Clingy Serum Primer. This stuff is very, very hydrating, but super, super sticky. It's almost as sticky as the e.l.f. Power Grip. I think it might be as sticky as that, but it's a little bit easier to blend into the skin because it's not as thick. Another grippy primer, the Maybelline Grippy Serum Up to 24 Hours Makeup Grip Primer with 2% niacinamide. This one, it feels really nice on the skin. It's definitely the thinnest of all of the grippy primers that I've tried, so it absorbs into the skin really, really easily. The packaging is a little bit cumbersome because it is this little dropper, and when it dries down, it does give you a slight tacky finish, but it doesn't really last that long. If you leave it more than 5 minutes on your skin, the grippiness kind of goes away. So it's not my personal favorite. I really like a heavy duty grippy primer if I'm going to go in with one. But if you don't like the feeling of a super sticky primer, but you still want to maybe dip your toes into the grippy primer waters, this might be a good starter one to try, especially if you want that added skincare benefit. And then last but not least, another one from Maybelline, the Maybelline Poreless Jelly Up to 24 Hours Hydrating Blur Primer. This also has 2% niacinamide in it. I will say I much prefer the packaging of this primer to this one. It's a plastic squeezy tube with a pump, so it's just a lot easier, quicker. It's lighter weight, so it's easier to travel with. This one is a glass bottle or really hard plastic, and it's heavy. You gotta unscrew the top, so I like this packaging a lot better. It's a really unique texture. It's sort of like the Benefit Professional, that thick silicone-y feeling. I don't even know if this does have silicone in it, but it definitely gives you that feeling, but it's not drying at all. It's hydrating as well, which is why I really like it, because sometimes those blurring primers are meant more for obviously just blurring the skin, but they don't really do anything to plump up the skin. This one makes my skin look really, really nice, especially me. I have very dry, dehydrated skin. It blurs the skin, it smooths the lines very subtly, but it doesn't make my makeup slip and slide around, and it does sort of just make your skin look more plump and smooth. So I really like this one as well. If I had to rate them, I like the Wet n Wild the most just because I personally prefer a gripping primer, but I do really like this Maybelline one as well. I think if you're looking for a blurring, smoothing primer, but you want something a little bit more plumping, you might really like this one if you have more dry, dehydrated skin. Today, I'm going to be going in with the Maybelline Lumi Matte Foundation, which wears better with a grippy primer, so I'm going to pair it with the Wet n Wild Clingy Primer. So this one has a pump. You can see it does have a serum-y consistency, but it's not super liquidy. It's not like a water or anything like that. I would say it's more of a gel than a serum, but definitely still glides across the skin really easily, and it's already starting to give me that tacky base. I'm not going to apply any to the forehead just because I don't personally get oily on my forehead, so I don't really need the extra grip there, but I do tend to lose coverage around my mouth and my nose throughout the day, so that's really where I like to focus it. And you can see nice and sticky already. I wish it wasn't maybe a glass bottle just because this is a little bit heavy, and it also doesn't come with a lid, and I'm not exactly sure how to lock the cap. So once you open it, it's sort of like if you put it in your makeup bag, it can just squeeze out at any point. So as I said, for foundation, I'm going to be going in with the Maybelline Lumi Matte Foundation, which sounds like an oxymoron or a paradox, but basically it's just a satin finish foundation. First of all, I really like the packaging. I think the little light purple cap is so cute. I have the shade 180. So what I will say about this foundation is that, like I mentioned before, it doesn't wear the longest, which I would say is the biggest downside for me. It's very, very, very thin, very easy to blend, very lightweight, and it does dry down to that more satiny finish. I would say it gives light medium coverage. overall, it's just, in my opinion, a nice middle of the road foundation. For me personally, if I'm going for something that is more of a satin finish, then I kind of want it to have more coverage. That's just me. It's a satin finish, so it's not fully matte, but it can cling to dry patches a little bit, and it's not the most long wearing, so it's just like okay for me. I like it, I don't love it. One thing that I do love, however, is the Revlon Flex Wear Full Cover Concealer. I think this is new. It's definitely new to me, but I don't really hear anybody talking about it, and it is freaking fantastic. It is full coverage, but it is the least drying full coverage concealer I have ever tried. I mean, look at that coverage. And it sets down, so if you do have more dry skin, if you don't have extremely oily skin, you can get away with not setting this throughout the day. This will set itself, so it's just really, really fast. Gets the job done super quickly, and I just love a full coverage concealer. And I even wear full coverage concealers with like skin tints. I know that people say that, you know, it looks weird if you have a full coverage concealer with a light coverage base, but I beg to differ. If I'm gonna put a concealer on, I want that puppy to cover. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just blending that in with my Singe Beauty FO2 brush. I love this brush. You'll feel the concealer almost start to get a little bit tacky as it dries down, but it doesn't stay tacky, and I think that tackiness is what helps it just stay locked and loaded in place all day long. Like, this concealer does not budge. Gorgeous. I love it. Moving on to cream bronzer. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Glow and Go Cream Bronzer Multi-Use Stick. It has a cream bronzer and a cream blush. I'm not going to use the cream blush today because I have a different cream blush formula that I want to use, but I want to use the bronzer side. I have the shade Beachy Pink. I think this is the lightest one they offer. So there's the cream bronzer, there's the cream blush. It has that traditional Physicians Formula butter bronzer smell. Nice glide. I love the glide. Let's try to blend that in. I need a stiffer brush, so I'm going to take my e.l.f. Complexion Duo brush. It's a little bit more densely packed, and just start working that in. Ooh, it's not blending out the easiest on this foundation, but when I used it the other day on top of, what did I use it on top of? I think it was the NYX Buttermilk Glaze, which is more dewy. It blended really easily. Blend. It's getting a little patchy right here. I don't know if I just let it sit too long or if it's just a little bit too stiff of a formula. Let me try applying it directly to the brush. Oh yeah. That works really well, but it is very pigmented. I really think it's maybe this foundation because it does have more of that satin leaning matte finish. This is not blending as seamlessly, but I'll have to keep testing it with other products. I really like the tone of it though. It works as a contour, but it's not too gray or ashy. It warms up the skin as well. So I'm just taking some down the neck. You see that patchiness right there? Ugh, that's gonna drive me crazy. All right, let's try to blend it on the forehead and see what happens. Yeah, it's just not blending as seamlessly. You just gotta put a little bit more elbow grease into it, but not bad. Yeah, I would say if you're using like a dewy foundation, you can draw it directly on the skin and it blends out really easily. If it's a more matte or satin foundation, you're gonna have to either apply it to the brush or just use a little bit more elbow grease. Just gonna put a little bit around the nose. Pretty. So I'm gonna keep playing with this. I do really like the tone. I think it looks really pretty once it is blended out, but yeah, I'll have to keep playing with it to see how it plays with other foundations in my collection. For blush, I wanted to try this fun shade of the CoverGirl True Blend Skin Enhancer Blush Balm. This one's in the shade Sweet Violet. I love that all the drugstore brands are coming out with cream stick blushes. So fun. Wow, that is a fun Barbie purple. I'm just seeing how it applies directly to the skin. It's not blending the best. I haven't really developed my thoughts on it yet. Let me try to put it on the brush first. That's better. Whoa, that is pigmented. Much better when you apply it to the brush first. But I do remember the day that I used it, I did draw it directly onto the skin. And again, I found it easier to blend. So I don't know, maybe it's just the Maybelline foundation that is making these products harder to blend. I don't usually go for a purple blush. I have so much blush in my collection that I was like, let me just get a shade that is different, that adds something new. I don't know if it really complements my personal undertone the best, but I do think it's really pretty. And if you have more of a cool undertone, then this would probably look stunning on you. And it also seems to be pretty pigmented, so I think even medium, maybe even deep skin tones could use this. Let me know if you do have a more medium to deep skin tone, if you've tried this, how this works for you. I think that's pretty. I think it blends out really easily, other than when I drew it directly onto the face. Like most cream products, it applies better if you apply it to the brush and then apply it to your face, but I just wanted to see what it was capable of. Took that blush a little high, so I'm just adding a little bit of concealer there. I don't have a new powder, but the newest drugstore powder to my collection is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Loose Setting Powder. I love how big the opening is. It seems like it would be messy, but I don't know, it's just so easy to get your brush in really quickly. You don't have to fuss with any intricate contraption. Even if you want to set your whole face really quickly, you can get a ginormous brush like this and just and then you're good to go pretty much. I like this powder because it sets your makeup, makes it last all day. It's not drying on the skin. So really good, like no frills loose setting powder. Not a new product, but I do want to set the bronzer with the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. This is a new one. I had one a long time ago and I used it completely up actually because I just loved the tone of it. I loved how easily it blends. When I first opened this, I was like, is this the same tone? Because I remember it being maybe slightly darker and a little bit more almost like reddish, but I don't know, maybe I'm just going crazy. Because this one just says bronzer. I think this is the traditional shade, and I also think the packaging has changed, right? Like, it didn't used to be in this green packaging, I think. Let's do a small little nose contour. For highlight, NYX launched the Buttermelt highlighters. I love the Buttermelt blushes, the Buttermelt bronzers. They're just so creamy. They melt into the skin. They are gorgeous. So when I saw that they were launching highlighters, my jaw hit the floor. I got the lightest shade, Bright and Butter. And I will say, I think I need to go up a shade because this one is just a little bit too white on my skin, but it is really pretty and very smooth, not chunky or chalky at all. So I really love this, but I do want to get the next shade up. And the cool thing about the Buttermelt highlighters is that there's really fun shades to choose from, like a mint green, I think they have a blue one, a pink one. So gotta love NYX for their killer formulas and also just keeping it fresh, keeping it fun. Before we go to the eyes, I am going to add a lip liner stain. This one's from Wet n Wild actually. It's called their Perfect Pout Lip Liner Stain. And this reminds me so much of the calligraphy lip stain from Stila. I mentioned this in my favorite product in every category. It is a lip liner, but it's a stain. Ooh, there's a little hair on it. And the cool thing about it is that you have a really thin pointy side to get precise lines. And then it also has a flatter side where you can fill in your whole lips if you want. And it lasts all day long because it's a stain. But this one from Wet n Wild literally has the same exact shape, which is weird. I don't know if they were meaning to dupe this, but I mean, like, it's pretty much identical. Now, I will say that Stila has a lot more shades to choose from, more nude shades, which is what I really like about it because a lot of times lip stains don't come in more brown nude shades. Wet n Wild, I think, only has maybe 3 shades to choose from, and they're all pretty like intense. I have the shade Nude Tights. So I just like to take the flat pointy side to do the lip line. And you do want to be a little careful, obviously, because it's a stain. So if you mess up, it's hard to undo it. And then this shade is very dark, so I do like to kind of just pat it out a little bit. I wish they had other lighter shades. And it says nude tights, but it actually has a little bit more rosiness to it. On my lips, it looks like a really deep purpley brownish color. And unlike those other lip stain lip liner products, you don't have to do that weird peely off thing. So it peeled off by itself, got in my mouth. Ah! It's getting everywhere. What is happening? I much prefer this application than the Sachu lip stains, in my opinion. In the middle of the lips, I'm just gonna take one of my favorites, the Essence, the Slim Stick Long Lasting Lipstick. This one's in Over the Nude. Really nice, cloud-like, soft matte lipstick. Okay, so for eyeshadow, I'm going to take this palette from Moira. This is their Endless Moonlight palette. I don't know if this is new, but it is new to me. And y'all know I love Moira eyeshadows. They are some of my favorite affordable eyeshadows. So I love that this one is a neutral palette that has warm tones and cool tones. So we're going to play with this. I'm gonna quickly do one eye off camera just to see what I wanna do, and then we'll be back and I'll show you what I did. Okay, so this is what I came up with, a super dramatic, cool tone, smoky halo eye. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start off with Diva, which is a nice neutral mid-tone brown that we're going to use as our transition shade. And I'm just popping that into the crease. And I'm focusing most of it on the inner and outer portions of the crease. Put a little bit through the center, but this is where the halo is going to be, the brightest spot. So I didn't want to put too much depth there. What am I doing? I started off first with a black eyeliner. So I'm just taking this one from Pixie. This is their Endless Silky Eye Pen. And I am applying that to the upper and lower waterlines, which I know is just so exciting to watch. Ugh, I hate that part. And then I'm taking a very, very tiny detailed brush. This is the Morphe M250, and I'm just getting a little bit of that black liner onto the brush, and then I'm pressing that really, really close to my lashes, like almost in between them, as close to them as I can get. I kind of cover this up later, so I don't really know if there's fully a purpose, but we're just gonna do it because that's what I did on the side. And then same thing on the lower lash line. I'm just trying to get as close to those lashes as possible. Then I'm taking this dusty purple shade called Beauty, and I'm gonna stamp that on the outer portion of my lid and on the inner portion. Keeping most of the color on the lid, but I am dragging it into the crease slightly. And I'm bringing it all the way into this inner corner here. I forgot to take that brown shade across the lower lash line. So yeah, I'm just taking Diva, again, that neutral brown, and smudging that all underneath my eyeball. And then again back in with Beauty. And then I'm going to take that same shade and smudge it all along the lower lashes. And then I'm just taking the brush I used with Diva and blending out those edges just a little bit so there's no harsh lines. I'm going to take my NYX glitter glue and just apply that to the center of my lid so that we don't get any fallout, or as minimal fallout as we can. And then we're going to take that really pretty sort of slate gray blue sparkly shade called Moonlight, which is aptly named. And I'm taking that on a flat brush. You could probably use your finger too, but I'm just using a brush to get a little bit more precision. And just applying that to the center of the lid. Just going back in a little bit with Beauty, that dusty purple, just to Make sure there's no harsh lines. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the black shade in the palette called Ego. I'm taking that on a really small brush. This one's from Morphe, the A18. And I'm re-intensifying the outer and inner portions of my lash line. And I want to deepen up this dusty purple just a little bit. So I'm just ever so slightly taking, sort of mixing Beauty and Ego together. And I'm going to take a little bit of black along the lower lash line as well. Oh, and then I applied a thin liquid black liner. So I'm going to quickly finish this eye up, apply some mascara, maybe some lashes, and then we will meet back here. Finish up the look and I'll give you my final thoughts, my first impressions slash some quick thoughts on all the products that we tried today. Alright guys, this is the final look. I really like how it turned out. It's definitely a little bit more sultry and cool toned than I was expecting this to turn out for some reason, but I really like it. I think the eyeshadow palette performed well. Moira shadows are really nice. The mattes are always very well, not always. There's been one Moira palette that I did not super love, and that was the pastel palette, but other than that, every other Moira palette, the mattes are super pigmented, super blendable, and the shimmers are just stunning. I mean, I think you can see they're so pretty. Overall, I feel like we had a lot of great hits today. I'm so excited to see the drugstore come out with a lot more trendy products, a lot of cream balm sticks, a lot of grippy primers. I feel like nowadays the drugstore is killing it so much that you really don't need to splurge on high-end makeup, but definitely there are some products that are better than others. I will keep testing these and let you guys know my final thoughts in a future video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It really means so much to me, and I'll catch you in my next video.